Hello everyone, it's Omae and welcome back to the brand new video. So today we just got the super evolution of Luffy in game. If you've done all the events up to this point, you should be able to super evolve him as well. If not, the remaining skulls are going to be in the upcoming Kizuna, right? So this is going to be a first impressions video before level limit break upgrades for PvE. So level 110, you only get the captain ability and special upgrade at level limit break 4. So this is going to be kind of what most people are dealing with when it comes to Elbaph Luffy. Even if you feed all the free duplicates into one copy and don't keep a 6-star unevolved form, you will still not reach level limit break 4. You only reach level limit break 3, right? So I just want to discuss his kit very briefly. This is not a deep dive video. I will have a separate video which is very similar in structure to the VV Super Evolution breakdown, but this one will be even more substantial because I'm going to thoroughly test my guy Luffy here. So few changes here. So he's a quick free spirit striker now instead of being a fighter striker. So the fighter class is changed to free spirit. I like that he now has a secondary class. It's always beneficial for a character to have a primary class and a secondary class. It means that they'll fit on a lot more teams, right? And he is going to have a much better special now. Before, you'd have to have the 5 tag requirement to actually get the substance in a special, the massive color affinity, the damage reduction. Now it's much easier to reach that requirement, and the more substantial effects are not locked behind that tag requirement. So they've converted the color affinity of 5 turns into an orb boost, which I think is much better, and you don't need to reach the tag requirement to get that orb boost. We also have a free spirit territory, which is so good. I mean, this is going to work great with 12th and Blackbeard, but also territories, if the enemy has their own territory on the field, it will reduce your damage by 66%, which is ridiculous damage reduction for your damage. Massive nerf. The only way to get around it is by placing your own territory on the field. So even though it looks like it's just a 1.5x damage amp max with the free spirit territory, it can make a massive impact for your damage to have this effect. And then he's also still reducing the paralysis, which we know how powerful this utility has been in the last few months. The damage nullification as well. And of course, you can use that paralysis reduction to get around paralysis orbs. He also now has an added effect for HP reduction. Now, in some situations, this will be a bit annoying, but if you do meet the tag requirement, which now is much easier to do for 2 reasons. For one, you only need 4 characters matching the tags, and 2, they've added extra tags here. Before, it was only Elbaph Arc, Giant, and Stride Pirates. They've added Royalty and 4 Emperors, which is super helpful, right? Especially on the 4 Emperors side of things. It makes it much easier to reach that 4 tags. And that will give you an 80% damage reduction, which of course you can use to survive death hits and proc damage reduction based attack boost based on ally damage reduction. And then he also will give the enemy an increased damage taken of 2x through all immunities. So much stronger special here. They've removed the tap timing based attack boost as well as the chain growth rate buff. I think that's completely fine. Remember, tap timing based attack boosts aren't nearly as good as these other damage boosting effects because it only takes into effect after the 4th tap, that tap timing based attack boost. So only like 2-3 characters are actually getting that damage buff, whereas for the increased damage taken, the orb boost, the territory, everyone's getting that massive damage amp. And also the increased damage taken allows you to proc conditional boosts as well, so a lot more usage here, right? I do think this is a massive special upgrade. And then as for the captain, it's relatively the same. Instead, now the captain is boosting way more groups of units. The 6-star originally boosted only int and striker units, but now he's boosting int, striker, free spirit, and quick. So massive pull increase as to who you can use this guy with. He boosts other units by 4x, gives a lot of natural orbs counted as beneficial, and still has that same effect where certain tags get that 2 turns of cooldown. When you do get the level limit break upgrades, everyone gets 2 turns of cooldown and charges for your versus and switch effect gauges. And then on top of that, certain tags get an additional 2 turns of cooldown. Before the upgrade, only those tags get 2 turns of cooldown. And this is, of course, better than the original, since you also have those 4 Emperors and Royalty units getting those cooldowns, right? And then once again, we have this condition of if you have 2 or more Elbaph Arc units and a Straw Hat, or giant character activates their special as a sailor, then you get that 2 turns of cooldown to everyone, which is still, in my opinion, one of the most broken effects in the captain ability. I've tried this in team building, it's just unbelievably good. So I'm excited to test this guy in content. The super class is relatively the same. His super type is relatively the same. It's just changing now to boost quick and int units. And his sailor abilities are still the same here. Oh wait, no, we also have this tag requirement updated to add 4 emperors and royalty. So this as well as a sailor is much better. So if you're running Luffy as a sailor, you're getting access to the threshold reduction, you're getting around enemy territories, paralysis orbs, stun through the cut crew HP, enemy damage nullification, enemy weak orb boost by activating this 5-turn orb boost in a previous stage, enemy death hits from the 80% damage reduction. You're proccing conditional boost and also getting an extra 2x damage from this increased damage taken, which reliably goes through immunities. The tag requirements are way easier to meet. This is looking really good, guys. I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed even before level limit break upgrades. I guess you could say the main gripe is still that the captain attack multipliers are still kind of weak. If a unit does not have one of those tags, they only have 5x damage. But most of the time you will be running someone with one of those tags on your team, and they'll get an extra 1.2x going up to a 6x attack boosting captain, which is definitely possible for modern day treasure crews. Also, one key detail that I think was also changed is that they also added the 4 emperors to the Luffy superclass requirement. 3 or more straw hats, giants, or anyone that is with Luffy and Elbaph, or 4 emperors, Vivi, Shirahoshi, Rebecca, Mancherry. Of course, that means the new Vivi 6+ will work on this with this Luffy on a free spirit basis. Really cool stuff here. This Luffy, it's actually perfect to go up against PKA Garp, the current PKA. Since he is a quick free spirit, he has both advantageous type and class on the final stage. His special is extremely helpful with the super class on stage 3. So let's just run into it. And I think this is actually the best way to showcase Luffy's new super evolution. The fact that he's synergizing with these Blackbeard pirates is incredible. One kind of gripe I have is that I upgraded this ship, which I still don't regret per se, but it was meant to synergize with the Int Striker Elbaph units, but unfortunately Luffy is no longer Int, so there's not a crazy good synergy here, but yeah, it's still a pretty nice ship to run with these units. And just a few details I want to note. So when you are running a Luffy as the captains, if you're running double Luffy, of course, you're getting 4 turns of cooldown every time you use a straw hat or giant character special, or one of these specific character names. They don't need to have a tag. But that can only activate up to 4 times per quest, so you have to be very careful. Otherwise, you will run out of these activations if you're using it too loosely, right? Because you can use a character like Brook, who in most content will always be ready on stage 1. He's almost always boosted and gets cooldown. Or you could use Treasure Map Zoro Strength unit. You can use them to wave clear on stage 1 and 2, guaranteed, which will of course speed up your run, but also gives all your characters 8 turns of cooldown, thanks to the double special activation, right? So it's a really cool way to get through content where there's very little cooldown, and you have units that have struggling with cooldown. You can use these like double special activation straw hats to give massive cooldown instantly, right? But also to get around special rewind, which unfortunately, if you are using that effect in Luffy's captain to get around rewind, you still have to find a way to get one of your straw hats free from that special rewind to use their special and give everyone else that cooldown. So in turn, you need very specific support like this pudding on Sanji units, or the Treasure Map Rare Recruit Nami. This one's probably one of the better ones, since she works on quite a few straw hats, both Robins and Choppers. That'll just give you 2 turns of rewind. I mean, cooldown when you are rewinded. Very, very powerful. And then, of course, we are running double special activation units in both Brook and Sanji Frankie. So let's see how this goes against PKA Garp. And one thing I forgot to mention, but that Luffy synergizes so well with the new Katarina Devon and Van Ogre Legend, because like I've had this massive gripe when using Devon and Ogre. It's the fact that they do not proc their own conditional attack boost. And the 2 conditions that you can use to proc them is either delay the enemy or give them increased damage taken, which of course Luffy does, and that goes really well with the weakness or weakened status that they inflict onto the enemy, right? Very, very powerful combo. They both give core boosts, I guess, so that's not the greatest synergy, but it's pretty good, right? Both quick free spirit, they provide a really solid synergy to each other. Okay, for now we can go up against level 150. I'm not sure of the damage yet, because remember, we won't have an attack boost with this team. Okay, wait, let me go all the way here. There we go. We'll have a chain boundary, a very good chain boundary from from Brook and Frankie. Sanji and Frankie, my bad. Enemy increased damage taken from Luffy, enemy weakened status from Kata and Devon, an orb boost from Luffy, color affinity from Blackbeard. I might actually add a support here for an attack boost. Yeah, we can use Odin for 1.75x and also use the Coated Sunny. Remember, we're getting like 6 turns of ship cooldown reduction from this character's special, so we will get the ship special. So we want to use a ship that actually is going to help us, and that ship gives us a nice extra damage amp. I think that's about it. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to, of course, use double Luffy, so that we get the massive 4 turns of cooldown every time we use a Straw Hat or a Giant Sailor special. And both the Sanji, Frankie, and the Luffy captains aren't boosted, so this is actually going to be a great showcasing of how good that cooldown reduction can be when units do not have cooldown, right? So that's going to be quite exciting. We can use Brook on stage 1 and 2 to wave clear. We don't really need him late on in the quest. So stage 1, yeah, Luffy and the Sanji, Frankie have like 7-8 turns of cooldown remaining. But after using Brook twice, we get Liquor wave clear, amazing speed, but then also all that cooldown for our units. And we will be using one of our Luffys on stage 3. I mean, he's giving us an orb boost for 5 turns. That will last us until the final stage. Blindness, of course, removed from the Sailor of Devon and Ogre. We can use the special of Luffy. This, let's see the animation, actually. Yo. Defending the benefactor's pride, I think. I don't know. I didn't see all the text. Massive HP cut, which is that's but I mean, there's no burn. Well, actually there is burn on the final stage. Shit, I didn't consider that. I mean, we're only on level 150, so I should be able to kill with a great, but we'll see what happens. Right, let's take it as it comes. And then of course a tandem orb from his super class, and that will allow us to get past the barrier. Very, very nice. Easy kill. Stage 4 Prince Groose, and we still have that free spirit territory, remember, on stage 3 as well. That was nice damage. Paralysis orbs. Yeah, we can use the Frankie and Sanji, and this will allow us to activate the cooldown reduction. And now we're free from the rewind. Devon and Ogre for the paralysis orbs. And at this point, I could technically just kill through the defense up. I can use Brook again, yeah, that's pretty nice. And one just interesting thing to note is that his superclass is still buffing color affinity, even though his special is now giving an orb boost. I don't know if I like or dislike that, but I mean, it's still pretty cool, I guess. We will get that buff to our Blackbeard's color affinity on the final stage. And you know what? I should have bought a character like the quick rare recruit Doc Q from the recent treasure map batch, since he gives that quick territory. Luffy gives the free spirit territory. That would have allowed us to get the full color affinity from Blackbeard. But once again, we only at level 150, so maybe after this or in a separate video we can look at super high level like 250 plus, even going towards level 300 with a optimized team. But yeah, this is just very unprepared. I didn't even test out the team, right? You know what, I'm just going to try and burst through it. Let's use the second Sanji Frankie. This will extend the chain boundary and buff it. And then Brook for the increased damage taken. Enemy does have immunity, I think, on the final stage, so we can't use Brook's increased damage taken, but Luffy's will go through their immunity, remember, so that's quite helpful. So I'll just hit my greats here and hopefully we kill, man. We do have massive stat boost on Blackbeard, so I'll tap with him last. Nice thing about the ship is that it actually doesn't make it easy to hit perfect, so if you actually want to hit greats, it's a great way to do that. Oh wow, I didn't expect us to actually kill. I mean, it is thanks to my Blackbeard being 150 Limber Break expanded, but yeah, this is definitely not a team you'd actually want to use then. I was hoping they would be able to get a run where we can use Blackbeard special twice, but he is a 20 turn cooldown unit, so he's just not realistic. Remember, we are getting that 4 turns of cooldown every time we're using Luffy or using a Stride or Giant special as a sailor, but there's only a 4 use limit for that. So even if we use all 4 of them, it would only give Blackbeard 16 of his 20 turns of cooldown, and most of the time we are using the Straw Hat specials before Blackbeard in this quest. But anyways, can use the Von Ogre here. We already have an orb boost, so this special isn't as good, but it's still giving us that conditional, right? And removing the Despair. We can use Luffy special to give us that increased damage taken. And I actually forgot to put an in support on Devon and Ogre, so they didn't give that weakened status to the immunity. That's kind of annoying, is what it is. We can use this. Oh, it first should have used Blackbeard, then the super class. Then that would have buffed the color affinity. But we can use this. This will remove the defense up, give the enemy defense down, allow us to evade the damage reduction. And remember, Blackbeard is applying the ability to go through defensive effects to 4 Emperors. So Luffy does get that ability, right? Amazing. At this point, we can just tap a Great, and that should kill. Or not. We do have that so Garp challenge will actually be a really great way for us to showcase Luffy. This is more longer form content, like 7 stage up to even 10 stages if you're going up against Heavenly Demon or Rev Army 2. So I think this is going to be a really good showcasing of what it's going to make a difference to activate Luffy's special or activate unit specials twice in the quest, thanks to Luffy's cooldown reduction in the captain effect. So I think Heavenly Demon 1 will actually be a pretty good showcasing, but I actually would rather go up against like one of these harder ones just to see how good Luffy can be. I mean, we basically won that previous PKA. I mean, I just kind of messed up the tap timing, but it is what it is. Well, actually, I decided on Arena Bonekichi. So Arena is always pretty difficult content, and Arena Bonekichi is not a horrible free-to-play unit to get as well. So I think this is a great piece of content for 2 reasons. One, I actually forgot to tell you guys about this, but if the enemy gives you an interrupt for using an orb boost on a stage, you can use a massive turn orb boost the stage prior, and the enemy will not do anything. So this final stage against Bonekichi is a perfect showcase for this Luffy. And then also stage 4 gives that paralysis, which Luffy will remove. So it's a perfect time to use his special right there. So this is going to be a great showcase of my boy Luffy. Also, I just kind of realized, but this Frankie just got massive stonks from the 6+ Elbaph Luffy on Quick Free Spirit. I mean, this guy, you want to use his special and he reduces his own cooldown by 13 turns. He is a 17 turn cooldown unit. So remember, if you're running double Luffy, you get 4 turns of cooldown whenever a Straw Hat uses their special as a sailor. So after using Frankie's special, he will immediately be able to activate again for the 2nd time, thanks to that cooldown reduction. I actually really want to test this combo out now. I mean, this is a really solid hybrid here. I mean, they both reduce paralysis and damage nullification, so maybe not so much, but still really cool. And I feel like the same could be said for Cross Guild Buggy, the V1 quick version. But he's still quick, so he'll synergize well as well. I mean, just one amazing thing about this new Luffy is that you can run so many different characters on his team. I mean, I'm running these random Dex Free Spirit Namis just because Free Spirit and Strikers can be used even if they're not a quick or int unit. Very, very nice. Also, one crazy thing I realized is that this new Luffy is essentially just 10 Danny Ace. I mean, paralysis reduction, damage nullification reduction, the orb boost as well. It's like the same legend, bro. Same legend. Also cooldown reduction. The captain ability gets around special rewind, which Luffy's inadvertently does. It's a very interesting idea. They are actually both free spirits. They could hybrid, but I mean, they're doing the exact same things. Okay, yo, this is Loki just bullying Bonekichi, bro. I can't lie. I mean, I'm really starting to feel the fact that the damage has just increased exponentially over the years. Arena characters, arena content, which used to be so difficult and actually had a substantial amount of HP. The HP bar of the final boss disappears in an instant, as you will see. So this team is nice. We are going to be using the Luffy as a sailor now. And since we meet the tag requirements, he just removes the threshold on the final stage very easily. And we are running Bonekichi as a captain. He's great for the final stage. Hybrids up with Luffy well. Gives a lot of cooldown to our sailors, of course. Bro, why did I get the secret stage when I'm actually trying to showcase the content, bro? Why? And you know what? The damage is so good that I think we don't even need to remove the 90% damage reduction on the final stage, making this team a bit more accessible. So let's get into this. So of course we are going to be using my own Luffy as the friend captain, so no level limit break as shown in the title and thumbnail, right? And I think this is a great way for us to also showcase how good Luffy can hybrid up with other legends and how good it is to run him as a sailor, because he's not doing a lot when it comes to removing enemy defensive effects. Otherwise, yes, he's removing the damage nullification, but having that threshold reduction is really powerful in his sailor ability. So Zoro here, absolute goat of wave clearing, bro. Even just with the stage 1, Zoro does a lot of wave clear damage. Okay, finally, no secret enemies running away. So here, there's basically no gimmicks. I mean, yeah, old content, man. But just to guarantee a matching orb there on Luffy, why not? We really can afford the damage. And then attack with our non-type disadvantageous units and broke kills very easily. And I mean, the ship is not necessary, but it is cool because synergizes so well with the team. Our Brook and Luffy both get us to very low HP, which allows us to get a conditional boost, which would then be procced by that ace support. But I did remove that, so it really doesn't matter, right? Stage 4, attack down and remove SFX. Kobe removes that on Garp. And Garp also gets around a lot of the gimmicks on stage 5. So, I mean, Garp is the GOAT. He also synergizes so well with Luffy, since he gives a quick territory when you're at low HP, which Luffy allows you to get to. And Luffy gives the free spirit territory, so you can actually synergize these two with quick 12th Blackbeard and get both of that territory requirements fulfilled, get the massive 8x color affinity from Blackbeard, right? Very cool combo actually here. We're going to use the Luffy here. Remember, the orb boost interrupt on final stage will not be procced if we bring an orb boost from stage 4. And then we can just get a matching orb guaranteed on Luffy. We really don't need the damage on the final stage. And then Sanji Frankie for a bit of healing, so we survive the death hit, I think. It's not really a death hit, but it's a bit of damage. We can't survive with like 500 HP, right? And also a 3-turn chain boundary lasting until the final stage. And then at that point, yeah, it's over for Orobi, man. Goodbye. Stage 4, a joke. We also have that free spirit territory. Remember that enemy increased damage taken from Luffy as well. Bonekichi, full border block orbs. We have putting on Sanji Frankie to give middle row block to recovery, which is counted as matching thanks to Luffy's captain effect. We still have the orb boost and the chain boundary. As you can see, the threshold was just removed. We can now use the special of Bonekichi to give the enemy defense down to 0%. And a color affinity buff. We can then use our Luffy for a enemy increased damage taken. And then we can use Garp for a quick territory and also remove the chain coefficient reduction. We can also we'll use Zoro on the revive, right? And as I said, we don't need to remove the damage reduction. That's just how good the damage is. So let's just hit our perfects and see where this takes us. So I'm not as confident anymore now that we haven't removed that yeah, I mean, with a 90% damage reduction, we were still doing all that damage. We don't even have an attack boost or a conditional boost, anything like that. And you also get a tap timing based attack boost from Garp, which is very nice. Remember, the original 6-star Luffy had the tap timing based attack boost. It was removed for the 6+. So Garp kind of makes up for that loss. And then on the revive, yeah, Zoro just slimes out Brook, who revives with 1 million HP. Very nice clear here. So might want to use this team if you have the characters. Why not? Very, very fun. Thank you guys for watching. I think we've covered most bases with this Luffy. Running him as double captains for that massive cooldown reduction, but also as a sailor and hybrid captain for a balance between cooldown as well as the threshold reduction from being a sailor. We've also covered how he synergizes so well with the 12th Any Blackbeard team, but also with other units like the regular legend Brook Egghead. A lot of these units that are older characters will synergize with Luffy, and you can use them to get around special rewind, weak orb boosts on the final stage, enemy interrupts for orb boosts. You can get around death hits, stun, enemy damage nullification, threshold, paralysis orbs. There's a lot you can do with Luffy, and I think this guy is a very good PvE super evolution. We will test out his PvP abilities in a separate video, so please check that out. It might already be up as you're seeing this video. But make sure to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts on Luffy. Tell me, do you want to see more showcases like this in the future? I might have an overall deep dive into Luffy once I've tested out his Rumble stuff as well, and finally evaluate how good the super evolution is. But for now, it's looking really good. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, and I'm out.